say they must compete with television, telephones, radios, computers, and even greeting cards.
A very simple thing
Students in our public schools are exposed to a vast world of knowledge that was unknown to us just a few years ago. But Ed Odell tells us educators are now realizing that our school system itself seems to have missed one part of the basic: reading, writing, and arithmetic.
It's what lets Mr. X, which is our word for, you know, whoever is going to be reading your paper, a teacher or somebody else, know exactly what you wanted to say.
Of the 3 R's, writing seems to be the one given the least attention in recent years. Educators stress the importance of writing, yet admit that it has been neglected.
We need writers in industry, in government, in the military, in education, and the premium that's paid for really good writing and the penalty that is inevitable as a result of poor writing, it makes writing very, very important.
I think for a period of time it had been neglected as one of the basics, but I think we're coming back into our own a little bit. I think that when the writing section was included in the National Assessment Program, it became apparent to people that nationwide students were not writing as well as they should. And I think that this has resulted in a resurgence of emphasis on composition across the country, certainly here.
All right, you can combine the ideas in hundreds of patterns, can't you?
Francine Finkel, an English teacher at Killlian High School in South Bay, recalls that as a young girl, she was frustrated with her own incomplete writing education.
I remember being in 11th grade English and receiving many papers that said that my sentence structure was AWK in red, awkward. And I never learned how to improve on that. I never was taught how does one unawkward their writing.
Bill West says, unfortunately, Mrs. Finkel's case is not uncommon. West is a professor of education at the University of South Florida in Tampa and an author of over 20 textbooks. He says the traditional method used for years to teach writing burdens the teacher with hours spent grading papers.
Yes, secondary teachers don't know how generally to teach writing without killing themselves. And since anyone who assigns writing that's going to give him 21 or 22 hours of extra work without pay a week manages to do something else, they don't assign writing, and it's understandable. Why not?
What's worse, West says, is that by the time the teacher gives back the graded paper, the student is no longer interested. He recommends instead the basic kind of teaching method that Francine Finkel uses. Her 11th grade writing class shares their writing with each other. Paula Cochran shows her assignment to the class, who makes suggestions. Then she sits down for a few minutes to revise her sentences. Educators point out that commercial writing is done in group fashion also. Professional writers first share their work with other writers, with editors, and with publishers at least once before finalizing the product. In this class, only a few students a day can actually work on their paper this way, but everyone has a chance to see how writing can be shaped and refined. Eventually, they learn how to edit their own papers, as Paula does now.
Miss Finkel, on this, the one which I've just redone, here, couldn't I go ahead and cross out even more by saying, however, the actions of these two people are different by each deliverer acting a bit more?
By each one, pardon me?
By each deliverer acting a bit more proper, and then going on and continuing that.
Yes.
Would that be okay?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Finkel presented her students with a task at the beginning of the year. They were to write a paragraph about a fictional girl named Sue and explain why she is an admirable young lady. Recently, they were asked to do the same assignment again. Now they are comparing the two papers and find that the difference is dramatic. Robert Quinton reads the concluding sentence from his first paper, which didn't even mention anything about Sue's personal qualities.
My pretest concluding sentence is, Sue is very glad school is over for the year, so she can rest all summer.
The class laughs with Robert because most of their own earlier writing efforts also failed to prove the point. But listen to the difference a few months made.
All right, let's hear your concluding on your post-test.
One can therefore conclude that Sue's values and actions are one of a responsible person.
Class, did you hear the difference?
Educators in Dade County agree that the teaching of writing must be improved, but say they must compete with television, telephones, radios, computers, and even greeting cards. Many modern devices and products make it too easy for a student to get through life without even writing letters. Margaret Den, director of Dade County Schools' Language Arts Department, says that to combat these influences, teachers must emphasize the importance of writing skills in the real world.
We need to teach youngsters that there are reasons for writing, that the written word can indeed move mountains, that the pen is still stronger than the sword, that a letter to the editor, a letter to the county commission, a written explanation to a good friend of why we had the argument and how we can solve the problem is very important. I think we need to continue to give kids opportunities where they see the purpose for writing.
Jerry Bauer, Director of Personnel at Florida Power and Light Company, says that both writing and reading skills are often required to land a job in the competitive business world.
In our industry, for example, we're in the electric utility industry. So the person who comes to work with us has to be able to write, has to be able to read, because in order to, for his own safety, if you will, to read signs when he works in a power plant, or to be a bill deliverer, comes to your home to deliver your bill, or to be able to read your meter. So he has to have those basic skills. But then once he's with us as an employee, then our purpose is to build on his skills in order to provide a career, a working career for him throughout his life, hopefully.
FP&L offers educational courses of all kinds to its 11,000 employees for free. In this writing class, both labor and management alike realize the importance of sharpening their communication skills.
I came across a problem the other day that I wrote a note to the field for them to make a change before I took this course, and they misinterpreted the whole note. I think if I could write that note all over again, they would precisely understand everything I was trying to tell them.
Businessmen say knowing how to write can provide bread for the table. Educators add that communicating with the written word can also elevate the quality of life.
I think you come to terms with yourself. I think that you understand your own message better after you have written it, so that someone else will really understand it.
It's a key to communication. It's a key to a sensitive life. It's a key to learning how to think, how to feel, how to perceive. Very, very important.
What did you have on your post-test?
Okay, on my post-test, I said, Sue Saunders happens to be an admirable young lady and cares a lot about her schoolwork.